All right, everyone, welcome in. Welcome in. Come on in. It is week 18 of our 52-week home buyer and homeowner series. Our Wednesday webinars are heating up. We're at week 18 already. And tonight we're talking about something that is costing most homeowners in this state money that they don't have to lose. So we're talking about money. We're talking about saving home owners money. So let's come on in. Again, my name is Daphne Brown. I am the broker owner of Beyond the Home Realty. And I like to do what I feel like I have been called to do, and that is help people with real estate and break down real estate into small, manageable pieces. So again, today we are talking about property taxes. If you have a need to want to know what homeowners and home buyers should know, we have this series that we do every Wednesday at 7 o'clock. We have past webinars over on our YouTube channel. We record this and we do post it on YouTube on Sundays. So tonight, again, we're talking about property taxes, how to protest them. And we want to remind you coming out the gate that the deadline to protest your 2026 property taxes is May 15th. So that is coming up. That is actually only 9 days away. So 9 days away. And if you've been getting these envelopes from Brazoria County, or I'm sorry, Brazoria Central Appraisal District, because they've changed their name. They're all fancy since they got a new building, or Harris County, or Fort Bend. And if you've been just stacking them up on your counter, wondering if you should do something about them, yes, you should. So again, tonight is going to be for homeowners if they are wanting to know how to protest their taxes, why they should protest their taxes. And if you are a home buyer, you're going to want to know this information as well, because again, it will save you money. Okay. So by the time we wrap up tonight, you'll know exactly what to do when it comes to property taxes and how to protest them. So this information is going to put real money back into your pockets, which we know that is where we need to keep our money nowadays, especially if you're pulling up on a gas station. So whether you are a homeowner, a landlord, whether you have land, or if you have commercial property, this affects you. So grab your notice, okay? Grab your ink pen, grab some paper, and let's get into it. Tonight, we're going to be taking notes. And this is going to go out in an email on Sunday, okay? But take notes if you need to. Now, here's our roadmap for the next 30 to 45 minutes. We're going to cover how property taxes work in Texas, how to read the notice that you got in the mail. We're going to be talking about exemptions that you might be missing, the step-by-step on how to protest your property taxes, your 9-day game plan, and then I'll open it up for a live Q&A session at the end. So you can drop your questions in the chat as we go, and I'll catch up with them at the end. So yeah, let's get started. Now, the foundation of it all is going to be two numbers, okay? So if you understand this big thing, everything else will click. Your property tax bill is just two numbers multiplied together. Two numbers, your appraised value multiplied by your tax rate. That's it. That's the whole formula. All right. And so the part that most people don't realize, you and I can't do anything about the tax rate. The school district set theirs, the county sets theirs, the MUD, if you're in a MUD district, sets theirs. We have basically no say in that, right? Your only time you can have say in it is if I'm looking for a home in an area where, you know, the MUD and all that are. Then you can say, okay, I don't want to move over here because this is what the tax rate. But what we can control is the appraised value. That side, at least we can absolutely fight it. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. I want you to look at where your tax dollars go. Here's a quick look at that. Let me move that out of the way. Can everybody see my screen okay? The screen that I'm sharing? Are y'all able to see that? Take yourself off mute and tell me yeah. Okay. All right. So your tax dollars for most people, now I'm speaking for Brazoria County because that's where I live, but I've lived in Fort Bend as well. This also applies there. I just want to make sure that, we know that just because we're in Brazoria County doesn't mean that it's not applied in Harris County, Fort Bend, and all. It's all the same. Okay. So the school districts is usually the biggest piece to the puzzle, right? 50 to 60% of your property tax bill is going towards the school district. And for most of us here in Brazoria, at least, that's Alvin ISD, Pearland, Angleton, or Brazosport. Brazoria County for the roads, drainage, and sheriff's office, that's where that money's set aside for them. And if you're in a city, your city limits, if you're inside the city limits, they have those districts, special districts like mud, drainage districts. Those can really stack up, especially in newer neighborhoods. They're going to have muds. Most of them are going to have a mud or a pit or lid. Every single one of these entities is taxing the exact same appraised value. So again, we're in Brazoria, so I'm just going to use that for the course of the webinar today. So in Brazoria, if that number is wrong, let's say by $25,000, you're not just overpaying one of them, you're overpaying all of them that we just talked about. The school district, the county, the city services, all of them, every single one of them. And that's why this matters so much. All right. So now, BCAD, who decides your appraised value? Not the county, not your school district. It's the appraisal district. So for us, that's Brazoria County. And they've renamed themselves Brazoria Central Appraisal District. If I happen to say Brazoria County Appraisal District, that's because I'm old school. They just made the change, but I use them interchangeably. And so as a quick note, as of January 1st of this year, they just changed their name to Brazoria Central Appraisal District. But it's the same office, the same job, new name. Their office is on North Shenango in Angleton, and their job is to put a market value on every single property in Brazoria County. Okay. Now, that value that they're giving you, that appraised value, that is as of January 1st, 2026. Okay. So the value that they're giving you, they're telling you this is a snapshot that we took January 2026. This is what the market was saying that your home's market value is. When we're talking about hundreds of thousands of properties in Brazoria County, if you're in Fort Bend, hundreds of thousands of properties there as well. They use what's called a mass appraisal. Okay. Nobody's coming to your home. It's a mass appraisal. And it's a big statistical model. It looks at sales, it applies trends, and it spits out a number for your home. And here's the thing, they've never, ever set foot in your home. They don't know the condition of your home, if the roof leaks, if there's deferred maintenance. They don't know if you have foundation cracks. They don't know if your AC works or if it's on its last leg. They're using a model, and models miss details every single time. What it does mean for you is that out of 60,000 plus protests in Brazoria that they get every year, 87% end up with a reduction in value. Let's talk about this envelope right here, the notice of appraised value. There are 5 things that we need to understand. And this notice on the screen comes in this envelope, okay? So we want to talk about 5 components that we need to understand. I'm going to walk you through them slowly because once you can read this thing, then the whole protest process makes sense. So number 1 is market value. This is what Brazoria County Appraisal District says that your home would sell for as of January 1st, 2026. This is a big number. This is what we're fighting if we decide to protest. Now, I know that you know that everyone is saying the market is soft, that everyone is saying if you're trying to sell your home, then, you're going to have a little bit of market time. Your home is going to sit on the market for a little bit. And that could be true, could not, depends on how it's priced, depends on the area, a lot of different factors. But for the most part, for sellers, there is some added market time for homes that are selling. That's even in new construction. So don't tell me what my home would have sold for in January. Okay, we're in May and I'm seeing the homes that aren't going as fast, that aren't selling as fast as they used to. And so because of that, I want to make sure that that is being taken into consideration. And that is why I choose to protest every year. So number 2 is going to be the assessed value, sometimes called the cap value. If you have a homestead exemption, Texas caps how much this number can go up each year at 10%. If you are in your homestead property, this number is only supposed to be able to be increased by 10%. So even if your market value jumped 25%, the part you actually pay tax on can only climb 10%. And then number 3 are exemptions. This shows what's currently applied. So we have exemptions like homestead exemption, over 65 exemption, disability exemption, veteran exemption. We have to look closely to make sure that the correct exemptions are applied. And some of these exemptions can be stacked. Now, if something should be there and it's not, then that's money that we're leaving on the table and we need to grab it, okay? And number 4 is the property description. So we're talking about square footage, number of bedrooms, the year it was built, the lot size. I've seen so many notices where the square footage is just plain wrong. So if your house is listed at 2,400 square feet, but it's really 2,100, that's real money once you correct it. And then number 5 is your protest deadline. So these 5 components that we need to understand from the notice. The biggest one is the deadline. The deadline is May 15th or 30 days after the notice was mailed, whichever is later. So I always save these because I like to look at the postmark. This one was postmarked for April 10th. So I'm good, May 15th. But sometimes you have had occurrences where they go out late and you want to make sure you can prove when you received it. Now, you want to make sure that you are looking at this and keeping up with these. But if you happen to misplace these or you're at work and you need to get your notice in and you leave this at home, you can pull this up online. We'll go over that as well. All right. So here are some red flags that tell you if you should protest. And if any of these sound like you, then we need to get to protest, and we have until May 15th. If your value jumped more than 10% this year, if you're higher than recent comps in the neighborhood, you know, because on this notice that they give you, you're going to have information here. Now, these are low because this is a lot. This does not have a home on it. But if it'll show you what it was last year and what it is this year. So here's how you can compute whether it's more than 10%. And you kind of know what homes in your area are selling for or have sold for. If you don't know that, shoot me a text. I'll have my number here at the end of the slide and I can send you over that information. Okay. So if you're higher than recent comps in your neighborhood, if the square footage on your notice is wrong, if your home has condition issues like an old leaky roof, it don't even have to be leaky, it could just be old. If you have foundation issues, if there's deferred maintenance, or, and this is important, if you recently purchased your home for less than what the appraisal district is saying your home is worth. And you can get this information off of your closing disclosure from the title company. If you don't have it, you can call the title company where you closed. You can get that information and compare it to the notice. Because if that's the case, then it's super easy, because only thing you need to do is make a copy and give that copy, take it or email it to the appraisal district, and they'll start right there. All right. If any one of these red flags to protest describes you, and I'm sure it probably does because I talk to people all the time, then you need to protest. You can give me a call and we will get it underway. All right. Now, before we even get to protesting, we have to make sure that you're claiming every exemption that you qualify for, because exemptions take money off the top before the rate even gets applied. And again, they stack. So the homestead exemption is the big one. If you own your home and you live in it as your primary residence, you qualify. In order to file it and get it approved, your valid Texas driver's license has to display the address to the property. Okay. If that's not the case, then you will not get it. So that's the only thing. Okay. So that will give you your homestead exemption. We do have Proposition 13 that was approved last year. Thanks to Proposition 13, the school portion is now $140,000 as opposed to $100,000. So that means that savings alone can save an average homeowner $1,500 a year, which, remember, if we start going back to our past webinar where we talked about principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, what you pay every month, your full payment. If we're reducing the taxes or the insurance column, because remember, if you have a fixed interest rate, the principal and interest is going to stay the same. But taxes and insurance are the two components that cause your monthly payment to rise. So if we're talking about $1,500 a year in property taxes, that is going to compute to a little over $100 in savings a month. I also want to let you know, if you have owned your home for years and you've never filed your homestead exemption, you can still file. There's no penalty. And in some cases, you can even get it applied retroactively. So that means you'll get money back. Do not leave money sitting on the table. The other exemption is the over 65. So if you're 65 or older, or if you're going to be turning 65 this year, you get an extra exemption on top of the homestead. So thanks to Proposition 11, that 65 exemption was raised to $60,000. And the magic part is, when you turn 65, your school district taxes get frozen. Now, we already talked about school taxes, right? They are frozen at that amount that it is at when you turn 65. And they cannot go up after that. So no matter what happens to the value of your home, the ceiling stays with the property as long as you live there. And then you have the disability exemption. Now, this is the same $60,000 that you have for the 65 exemption. Again, it freezes the school taxes as well. You have to use one or the other. So disability or over 65. You can't stack those two. But then the most significant, to me, exemption is the disabled veteran exemption. This one is significant, again, because depending on your VA rating, your exemption could range from $5,000 to 100%. That would mean that if you're 100% disabled vet, that would mean that you pay $0 in property taxes on your homestead. That is so significant. I know I have a client who lives in Pomona, and she has a four-bedroom home, three bath home, single story. It's almost 3,000 square feet, and her payment every month is like $2,200. She's a disabled vet. What? That is crazy. Whereas she would normally be paying like closer to $6,000 a month. She's paying not even $2,500. So that's really, really good. So yes, if you are a veteran, again, you don't have to be 100% disabled. You will still get some savings. You need to file your exemption and include that. Now, surviving spouses qualify for this exemption as well. So look into that, but please take all the exemptions that you qualify for. If any of this applies to you, reach out to me anytime after the call. I'll have information on how you can jump on my books, because I want to make sure that you're getting every dollar that you've earned. All right, moving on. Now, We already got the exemptions handled, check. Now let's get to the part that you came for, the protest. I'm going to walk you through this the same way that I walk my clients through it. There are 3 phases, and none of the phases are hard. The whole thing from start to finish, most people can wrap up in 8 to 10 weeks. So, or 8 to 12, from the time you receive this in your mailbox to the time you protest, send in your notice, bam, bam, to the time you actually talk with the people at the appraisal district, 8 to 12 weeks. And the actual filing, so this portion takes under 15 minutes. All right. So phase 1 is to file your notice of protest. Phase 2 is going to be to build your evidence package. And phase 3 is to attend your hearings. Excuse me, you're going to start off with your informal hearing first. You may not even need to get to the other ones, but your informal hearing is going to be first. The formal ARB follows the informal hearing if you need it. Most people, again, never really get past the informal hearing because it's all settled. And that's where the majority of protests are, remedied. All right. So the form that you're going to use is form 50-0132. 50-0132. All right. And that is the property owner's notice of protest. It's the same form number no matter what county you're in. All right. You don't actually need to fill this out if you're filing online, which is what I recommend. But I want you to see what it looks like so that it is not intimidating. The most important section here is going to be section 3. All right. I'm going to look at here. And so in section 3, the reasons for protest, okay? You're going to always make sure that you check the incorrect appraised market value and or value is unequal compared with other properties. All right? So when you file, check that box. Incorrect appraised value and value is unequal compared with other properties. It gives you 2 separate legal arguments under Texas Tax Code Section 41.43. And you want to have as many options on the table as possible. Now, page 2, which I will get to here. So page 2 is mostly about how you want your hearing held, whether in person, by phone, or by video. You can pick whichever works for your schedule. You can also request an electronic reminder by text or email, which I recommend getting those texts. That way you make sure you don't miss out on your hearing. And if you happen to miss out on your hearing and you're a day or 2 removed from the date, call them. A lot of times they can still throw you back on the books. If it's 7, 8, 9, 10 days has passed and you missed it, then too bad, so sad. You can't do that. But again, if you're filing online, the portal will walk you through all of this so you don't have to fill out paper, but you should know what's coming. Me, I'm old school. I like to make sure that I fill this out and I take it to the office. You can do the email thing or you can do the mailing thing. I don't trust snail mail, but you can do that. All right. This is going to cover filing your protest. The easiest way is online. The way that my anxiety is set up, I need to take it in, okay? But if you want to file online in Brazoria County, you can go to eprotest.brazoriacad.org. And then if you want Fort Bend, just Google it and it'll give it to you, okay? There, you're going to make an account. You're going to enter your property ID and you're going to enter your e-file pin, which your e-file pin is going to be on your notice. All right. It is on your notice underneath owner ID. All right. So you're going to enter that and you're going to pick your reasons. We just talked about it. Then you're going to hit submit. It's not stressful and it's not hard. Okay. But you can do it online. If you mail it, that's fine. Again, I like to drive it to Angleton and drop it off. They have 24-hour drop boxes located at 500 North Shenango. They also have a drop box in Fort Bend. When I send this email out, I'll include both in there, okay? The important thing is they have to physically receive it by May 15th. Postmarks do not count. So you can't take it to the post office and drop it in the mail. It's not like, federal taxes. You want to make sure that this is dropped in their mailbox or given in their hand, the mailbox outside, their 24-hour mailbox outside the building if you can. You don't want to just say, I'm good with the postmark. I'm going to send it in, because you're going to lose. You won't have a chance. They're going to say we didn't get it. Okay. Now, phase 2 is going to be to build your evidence package, right? We have done the biggest part, which is what people trip about, is actually getting the protest filed. So file it. Okay. Once that's filed, you have time to do the rest. So you have time before your hearing to put together your case. And here's what actually moves the needle. Number one, comparable sales. So you need 3 to 5 recent sales of similar homes in your neighborhood, ideally from the last 6 to 12 months. And that's where I come in, or another realtor that you may have. But number 2, you're going to go and take pictures around your home, on the inside, on the outside, whatever those conditions are in your home that you're saying could impact a sale of your home. Take pictures of and submit. Okay. When you go to your protest hearing, that's what you're going to show them. So you're going to take pictures. If you have roof damage, you're going to take pictures of that. If you have cracked windows, if you have windows that let moisture come in, you're going to take pictures of that. Anything that you feel like I need to get fixed around this house, anything that you've been putting off, any type of deferred maintenance, you're going to take pictures. Any water damage, you know how it leaves those little brown rings, you're going to take pictures of that. Foundation cracks, you're going to take pictures of that. Outdated kitchens, take pictures of the kitchen. Your Brazoria County appraiser or Fort Bend appraiser has never seen the inside of your home, and with your pictures, you want to show them the inside of your home with your photos. And number 3 are going to be repair estimates. So if you've gotten any quotes from contractors for big repairs or little, bring them. If you need new flooring, take pictures. If you've gotten quotes, get those quotes printed out and bring them with you. A $15,000 roof job or foundation quote is direct evidence that your home is worth less than what the county appraisal district is saying it's worth. And then number 4, if you've purchased a new home in the last year, the last 2 years, bring those closing documents, that closing disclosure, to the appraisal district for your appointment. Make sure you make a copy, because that is going to be, I'm telling you, that's like hard stop. This is what my home needs to be valued at. Okay. I know some people say, I got a new home, I don't need to protest. That's a lie. And if anybody tells you anything differently, they're a liar. Under House Bill 1533, Brazoria and Fort Bend has to share evidence with you at least 14 days before your hearing. So the comps that I told you that they use to give this market value, they have to show you their hand, right? So you can log into your e-protest portal, the ones that I just talked about earlier in the webinar that you're going to file when you create your account. You can log into that portal a couple weeks before your hearing and check to see what's there, so you can see what they used. And then phase 3 is going to be your hearings. First stop is the informal hearing. You meet with the appraiser. You can meet with them by phone, by video, or in person. But this is not, I want you to know, it's not contentious. It's not adversarial. It is a conversation where you present your evidence, your pictures, your quotes, anything that you have suggesting that Mr. or Mrs. Appraiser, what the county has said my home is valued at is actually worth a lot less. You want to point to all the reasons that this appraisal by the county is wrong. Okay. So you're going to give them your evidence. You're going to look at their evidence if you haven't already looked at it in the e-portal. And then right then and there, they have the authority to adjust your value. Most cases settle right here at this level, at the informal protest. You want to be polite, be professional, present your evidence cleanly, I always suggest and advise people to make a copy of the package that they're going to have, even at the informal. Make a copy of the evidence package so we can be looking at the evidence at the same time. You see what I'm saying? Okay, look on page 3. You see what I'm saying? Look on page 4. You see that kitchen? Look on page 6. You see that crack in the wall? Like, I like them to be looking at the same information that I'm seeing. So you're going to present your evidence cleanly. And remember that the appraiser is a person too, but they have a job to do just like you when you go to your job. And you don't want anybody telling you how to do your job if you already know how to do it. So again, be polite, and, treat them with some type of respect. And their job is to be fair and to settle the cases, because they're going to have stacks and stacks and stacks of protests. So they want to resolve those cases. If you get, some type of feeling, or somebody says something to you and you just feel like you're not going to be treated fairly, you do have the right to speak with the supervisor and get another appraiser. All right. So if you don't settle informally, you can go to the formal hearing in front of the Appraisal Review Board, the ARB. That's a panel of 3 citizens who don't work for the county. They're independent. And hearings here in Brazoria County are in Angleton. You can request, again, an evening or weekend if you can't take off. When you go to the formal hearings, both sides get sworn in. You each get to present your case, and the panel decides usually right then and there. I've done both. I've settled at the informal, but I've also said, nope, I don't like what you're saying. I want a formal hearing. Of course, that's more than likely a different date. And so if that's the case, I make 5 copies of my investigative packet, because I want each one of them to have it on their own. And while they're talking to me, I want to make sure I can still say, okay, if you don't mind, when it's my turn to present, if you don't mind, can you look at, I'm referring to page 3, where you guys have my square footage of my home incorrect. Can you start at page 6 and look at the outdated kitchen? And then can you look at page 8 to see what the quote is? You know what I mean? I want to be able to, when it's my turn to run my right? So I make 5 copies for that. Now, here's the encouraging stat. In Brazoria County, at least 98% of formal ARB hearings result in a value reduction. 98%. So if you've made it to that point where you are at an ARB hearing, the odds are overwhelmingly on your side. And you would know that when I went to my formal hearing, I got a lower, market appraisal. So now, here is your 9-day action plan. Now, we've covered a lot up until this point. It's 7:35. I like to get people in and out of these webinars because I know y'all have other stuff to do. But here is your 9-day action plan. If you take nothing else from tonight, take this part. Between now and May 15th, again, that's 9 days, here is your plan. So you should already have your notice of appraisal value. You're going to read it. Is this the wrong one? Yeah, here. You're going to read it. Find those 5 things that we talked about early on in this webinar. And then tomorrow, you're going to verify that you have the correct exemptions, right? That you have all the exemptions that you should have. So homestead, over 65, disabled, vet, all of those exemptions, you want to make sure you have those. And if you haven't filed them, get your application filed. Make sure you file them this week. Within 3 days, you're going to decide if you're going to protest. And again, I don't know why you wouldn't. If your value's up more than 10%, if your home has condition issues, or if you're higher than recent comps, file. Always file. What's the worst that could happen? If you say, well, I don't want to have to drive, you can do it over the phone. If you want to say, I don't want to be on video and talk to the appraisal review board, you can do it over the phone. They don't have to see you. Again, by May 15th, you want to file your notice of protest. You can do it manually, where you fill this out, or you can do it electronically. Again, for Brazoria, that is eprotest.brazoriacad.org. 10 minutes. And after that, you start gathering your evidence package, and you wait for them to tell you what date you're going to be able to present your evidence package. A lot of the times, if you include your information with your protest, they'll call you. And they've called me probably every year and go, Ms. Brown, hey, we got this that you sent. We can offer you X amount for the property's value right now. And you can agree or you can say, no, I want to come in. It's up to you. You got to figure that out. All right. I will help you pull comps. And that's the part that I do for my community. Also, let us tell you that this is no charge to you. If you're on the other end of this and you're saying, okay, well, when is she gonna get to the part that I do not charge for this. This is free, okay? This is what, again, I feel like I should be doing, is helping people understand real estate and understand how to successfully be a healthy homeowner. Healthy homeowners are important to me. People who have money to do other things than pay a mortgage, that's important to me. So I have access to the MLS. And with that access, I can pull recent comparable sales for the neighborhood where your property is located. I'm talking about accurate ones. You need to have hard evidence, and I help you collect that, okay? So I'm going to send them to you in a format that you can use as protest evidence. I've done this for my past clients, current clients, and really anybody who asks, because again, I want to help people save money, whether you ever buy or sell with me. So if you need comps, here's my contact information, or you can jump on my calendar at beyondthehomerealty.com. From my website, there's a schedule a consultation with me. Just click on that. And if you want to have conversation about, D, I didn't understand something that you said and I need like some one-on-one time, I don't have a problem with that. And a quick word for landowners and commercial folks. Land and commercial protests are a different animal, different valuation methods. You have exemptions, wildlife exemptions, capitalization rates, but the savings on a single commercial protest can be significant. I love to help. And again, I am ready and willing to enable you to find your way home. Coming up next week, we're going to talk about the buyer's incentives that they dangle in front of you to use the builder's preferred lenders for new construction. If you'd like to catch up on past Wednesday webinars, we have a playlist that we're dropping here so you can do just that. And for all of your real estate needs, remember that the homegirls are always ready and willing to enable you to find your way home. Bye-bye.